Welcome to this podcast is making me thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is episode 163. Today's guest, the television stage.
Jeez, it took you a long time to get to me.
We've been trying, Mark. He's a film actor and playwright. You know him from Election, For Your Consideration, The Big Bang Theory, Breaking Bad, The Morning Show, Preacher, and of course, he played Milos in the season 8 episode of Seinfeld, The Comeback. Please welcome Mark Harelik. Mark, thanks for joining.
Another podcast for Milos.
Nice.
Yeah, Mark, it did take a while. We even spoke to Milos's wife on the program. She was lovely. So, but listen,
cool.
Ivana. So take us back. It's been 26 years, Mark, since The Comeback aired on NBC to 33.5 million people. That's it. A memorable episode in Seinfeld lore for sure, and your character being a big part of that. But tell us a little bit about how that process came about. Was there an audition process? Would love to hear about how you became Milos.
Yeah. There was an audition process. I was, if I have my timeline right, I was doing a character on a show called The Single Guy, which was created by Brad Hall, husband of Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and then through Julia, I got recommended to go in and meet Jerry for this show. So at the time when I was doing The Single Guy, didn't have beard, had I was grooming long hair at the time. For some reason, it seemed funny to me. And I was doing a lot of comedy appearances here and there. And so I went in with my vaguely Middle European, Eastern European accent, which is derivative of no country except foreign in my mind, and an audition for Jerry. And I said, that's pretty good. Would you be willing to cut your hair? No, I wouldn't. Okay, well, thank you for coming in. And then by the time I got home, I'd gotten an offer to do Milos, and I got to keep my hair. And it all came about very quickly. I think we worked the next week, and it happened in the middle of a huge, blustery, rare, atmospheric river explosion rainstorm at the time. And so the production company had looked all over the place to find an indoor tennis court. Apparently, at the time, there was only one indoor tennis court in Los Angeles or in Southern California or the San Fernando Valley. And so it was already booked. So we had to set up on an outdoor tennis court. And it was storming at the time, wind, rain. They set up a huge tent over this beautiful tennis court, but the rain and thunder, which any of your West Coast Los Angeles listeners would know, thunder is very rare in Southern California. It was thundering. It was pouring down rain, and they couldn't hear anything. The roar of it was louder than the microphones could tolerate. So we basically just sat around all day and drank coffee and ate snacks and then ate lunch and played tennis. And so Jerry and I just sort of shot balls back and forth until we were ready to shoot. And we waited for a pause in the rain. And if you watch the scene very carefully, you can see rain puddles forming on the perimeter, and you can hear the rain hitting the cover, but somehow they were able to filter it out. And then it was just all bang, 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 bam. Went by really quickly. It was a character that I just had so much fun with because he's a complete idiot and just completely hanging out there. and is overly enthusiastic and overly embarrassed at the appropriate times. And I just totally resonated with me. So the whole thing was like just a really fun, joyful expression of fun. I did play left-handed, so that I made sure that my tennis is not good, but I can return a ball. But I didn't want to. I wanted to try and not return balls, so I'm playing left-handed.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So you're actually playing badly, but trying to play good instead of faking.
I'm trying the best I can to play left-handed. Yeah.
So you're not like faking it good with the right. That's a cool trick. That's a funny story too about the Thunder and everything. It's crazy. We were
there. We were there. The tennis scene is not very long. It took us maybe an hour and a half to film it, which is short in TV terms. But we were there all day.
Yeah, and then and we were wondering because I know it sounds like you spent a lot of time with Jerry there, and it sounds like you also had at least a working relationship with Julia through her husband on Single Guy. In the episode, you don't have a lot with Jason or Michael, but curious, either, on the set or maybe after the show, throughout your career, have you ever, what was it like there working with Jason or Michael? I know Michael was in that final scene. I don't know if it was actually shot the same day.
I didn't cross paths. I didn't cross paths with Jason. His story,
come back. Yeah.
Yes. His story was totally set in that little office set that they have. Right. But Michael and I hung out because we were theater buddies. We had been doing plays together in Los Angeles, and there was one. It was a Wild West setting of a restoration comedy, and he and I were outlaw partners, and we devised a lot of physical activity in this play, and we had a great time doing plays together. Very silly, and we also both happened to be yoga practitioners, and so we would attend the same classes, and we would do yoga together. He was a great guy to hang out with. Very silly, very often embarrassing me in public, but it was fun to hang out with him on the set. And I was happy that our stories happened to cross, because I think I'm the one that puts him in the hospital.
Right, exactly.
With an errant ball or an errant racket. What is it? It's the racket that clocks him.
Yeah.
It's such a tight script.
Yeah, written by Andy Robin and Greg Cabot, who we also had in the program. They're longtime Seinfeld writers. You touched on the accent. We wanted to go back to that because it's just one of those things that obviously makes this character so memorable. You said you went in the audition with it. Was that always there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it's the accent of helplessness. I still use it. Especially when I have my beard. If I go into a store and somebody is hassling me, I'll say, "I'm sorry, English not so good for me. I'm helpless. I apologize so much for getting in your fucking way, you fucking asshole." And so I was using that with Jerry, and he seemed to be delighted. I'm not even sure he was looking for an accent. I know that the guy was, he had Serbo-Croatian roots or something like that. But no, the accent is just it's my mask. And for some reason, I can be a lot freer when I have the accent. There was an aspect of, I didn't say my V's. Even when I come to a word that has even in it, I cannot say the, because they are helpless. They're helpless people. They don't have the. So I would say, even will you come with me? And Jerry said, last week we had a guy that couldn't pronounce V's, and he said W's, and I don't want to use it twice in a row. So I did stick the V back in to my accent.
Nice.
which I thought was a rude adulteration of a fake
Yeah,
Eastern European accent. That he was the
that,
boss,
that's
a
amazing.
very
And
nice boss, a very nice boss.
with Milo, I'm picturing you just talking as Milos that whole week, even off camera. But so this is
Oh, can I tell you something? Wait, I'm
yeah,
interrupting.
yeah.
I did talk Milos all week, uh, and puzzled a lot of people, including I think it was Gary Shandling that was shooting his show in the studio next door, and he wanted to come over and hang with Jerry when we were shooting the final tennis court scene in the studio. We weren't outdoors anymore, and Gary Shandling couldn't find him, and so he came up to me and he said, "Are you at the show?" Yeah, yes, I am. Yes, I'm with you. With Jerry? With Jerry, you're talking? Yeah, I was looking for him. Do you see him around? Jerry is. I don't know how to say. He's busy with the filming of. And he said, I know. I'm a friend of his. Do you know? Is he like over on that side? I said, I don't. When Jerry speaks, I just listen, and I thought I was being funny, but Gary Shandling said, something's not right here, and he walked off. So either he thought he's being fucked with, or he really picked the wrong person. To talk to, and I was horribly embarrassed because I wanted to talk to Gary Shandling too.
Yeah, another comedic great for sure.
Right next door to each other.
Not bad.
They were always
Hollywood, huh?
there. Yeah, they were always walking back and forth and sharing a good laugh, and yeah, it was definitely like the room where it happens.
Yeah. So this is season 8 Seinfeld. Obviously, at its peak. Obviously, one more year to go. And you mentioned you're in LA doing plays, but for the most part, this is pretty early on in your television career, I would say, right? For the most part.
Yeah. I had been working on The Single Guy, and I had roles here and there, and all of them. I think most of them were like situation comedies, and so I felt very eager and very comfortable in the environment. I felt that it was a vernacular that I understood, even though I hate performing live in front of a studio audience. Do not like that. They always say, "Oh, it's just like you're doing a miniature play," and no, it's not, because the size is much different. But you still have to hear the audience. Yeah, it was so exciting getting a job on Seinfeld.
Right. So you were a fan. You were a fan.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it was a plum, but my reaction was nothing compared to Ben Stein, because Ben Stein was on this episode too. And we were in the green room together during shoot night. We had already shot our pre-shoot, which is like on location, but the night you have the audience is shoot night. Everyone comes together and there's a little green room for the guest stars. And I was back there with Ben Stein, who was saying, "You understand, this is an extremely famous show. We are all totally honored to be here. I just feel absolutely jazzed and excited about being on this show. And I hope you are too." And which is amusing in itself. And then he goes out and he does Ben Stein and kicks ass.
Yeah, wow. And the show that you were on right before Seinfeld was obviously almost as iconic and as big in our minds, just about as good as Cheers, right? Were you in was it the final episode of Cheers that you
Yes,
were in?
it was. Yes, the final
That must have been
episode.
an experience too to kind of be
It was. And this was another case. James Burrows, who was the director, he hired me without an audition at the recommendation of somebody else, which on a big show like that is it's a risk for the director to take, and a rare pleasure for a young actor like me. And Jimmy Burrows came up to me and he just in the same Ben Stein mode said, "You realize that it's a great honor to be on this show. And I hope that you're properly impressed that you were hired without an audition." "Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Burrows, I really am." So everybody's telling me, "You don't understand how famous these shows are." But yes, oh God, I took my script around and I had everybody sign it. So I have a nice signed final draft typewritten script to the final Cheers episode.
That's cool. That's real incredible. Yeah,
Woody Harrelson scrawls his signature and flings the script back at me. I thought, Woody Harrelson was rude to me before he was Woody Harrelson. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we've heard the Cheers set was a bit loose compared to the Seinfeld set. Seinfeld set was a bit more maybe business-like, if you will.
Well, well, let's see. Yes, in the Seinfeld set, Michael, Jason, and Julia had all come from the theater. I don't think that Jerry had done theater, but he had worked in clubs, so he had worked live. Everybody had a very firm working aesthetic, and they enjoyed working that way. And over on the Cheers set, they were all over the place, and especially since it was the final episode, they were just, they were showing up, and everyone was hoping that the right words would come out in the right order. Yeah, it was thrilling. And then I believe they had the big. Was it in Boston? They had the big parade after the closing night, and it was Cheers cast drunk. It was maybe before drunk was cool. It was the Cheers cast, and Woody, quite something, quite a fellow.
I mean, right out of theater, and you're on two of the biggest shows of all time. It's
I know.
A little overwhelming, no? Guy from Texas?
No, I wasn't. I was just whelmed. I was enjoying both of them. I was a little nervous around Cheers because Jimmy Burrows told me how important it was. But when Ben Stein told me how important Seinfeld was, I thought, I feel pretty comfortable. Also, I have my embarrassed European accent, which it just gives me a nice place to hide.
Yeah. Did you, speaking of your wife, Eastern European as well, Ivana.
Yes.
Milos,
genuinely.
Friend of the show. Yeah. She's Serb and Croat for sure. Did you guys kind of practice the accent together?
No.
Just boom.
No, we just showed up. We just showed up with it.
Yeah,
just showed, and she was very nice to me. I was kind of like, "You're my wife? Wow." And I think, and was I single at the time? I might have been single at the time. It was problematic for a moment, but only because I had to, get my shit together. I thought, wow,
must have been hard.
Women.
Yeah, must have been on that set. Forget about it, right?
So, yes, I know.
So, Milos, let's be honest. Stole the show of this episode. You were in almost 5 scenes. That's a lot of scenes for a guest star.
It is. It is. Yeah, Jerry handed over a lot of that, which was like, it was definitely his show. He established the aesthetic, but he also had a lot to do with moment-to-moment filming, with suggestions and encouragement, and was very, very present and helpful the whole time. It was really, you could tell that he wasn't coasting. He wanted it to work. He was genuine and sincere with the effort that he put in, and it put me at ease, and it was very pleasing because the TV industry can be quite, for the actor, you're in there on your own. It's dog eat dog. It's self-serving. Everybody's grappling for their screen time. But this was really an ensemble show, and it was approached that way. And Andy
Ackerman.
Andy Ackerman was just the best director, and I worked with Andy on other shows. I don't remember exactly what they are at the moment, but I had the opportunity to work with Andy more than once. Oh, on Wings, I worked with Andy Ackerman, and just a genuine, friendly, really supportive guy, as opposed to Chuck Lorre.
Yeah, we've heard stories there too. I mean, I don't want to step on a story if there's one there, unless you just want to leave it at that. That's fine too. But yeah, interestingly enough, Wings is the reason why Seinfeld was not on Thursday earlier following
Is that right?
Yeah, because they had a deal. The production company that worked. They worked behind the scenes and said, you got to put this show on next, like after Cheers. They had like a deal together.
Wow.
So
wow.
yeah, they couldn't get Seinfeld. They were trying to get on Thursday for a long time. And
interesting.
It's history now, but yeah, it's interesting.
The Wings cast was also theater people. And
yeah, that's a fun. It's a fun show. That was a fun show.
Yes, Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, definitely had its moments for sure. And speaking of stories and shows that are fun, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the Veep story that you sort of teased us with. Is that something that you want to share?
Yes, the funny thing about the Veep. I think it was, how many seasons of Veep had they closed after their 8th season? I think it was their final season, and Elaine's character was making a journey through like a group of Far East countries, and this one episode they lost an actor playing a the stories of the Russian politicians that have gotten secretly poisoned by the Kremlin, and they manifest all of these horrible skin diseases, and they're running on the left. So I got hired to play this oh God, I can't remember his name, government minister Nikolai Gazetsky or something like that, and horribly scarred. I was hired because of my very positive Seinfeld experience, and because I have this offstage friendship with Brad Hall and his wife Julia Louis Dreyfus, and so I was just offered this role, and I showed up, and I could tell while we were filming it that this was after spending 2 hours getting made up with all of these scars and blisters and boils, everything, and I just wasn't getting it. I still hadn't. I had my same mysterious, non-invasive European accent, but it wasn't quite. I guess they didn't really want to embarrass the guy who's hiding behind his accent and apologizing so he can get the better position in the grocery store. Elaine was not Elaine. Julia was so generous with me and so nice, and all my scenes were with her, and the director came out, and I could tell there was a big conference in the back, and Brad Hall was there, who had hired me at least twice before, and I tanked, and we spent maybe 3-4 hours filming a couple of scenes. I just tanked, and I got a very nice email from Julia about 2 weeks later saying, Stephen Fry was coming through Los Angeles, and I've always had the desire to find something for Stephen to do on our show, just to add him to our cast collection. And we think that we may slip him in and reshoot that scene that you did. Anyway, it was so nice to see you on the set. Bye. And it was the first time I've ever gotten fired from a show after I'd already filmed it. So it kind of held that distinction, and it was embarrassing, but I knew at the time I didn't capture the comic flavor. And then I watched that episode with Stephen Fry, and I thought, well, he's good, but that's sort of what I was doing.
What do you
Anyway,
what do
she
you
got
think
Stephen Fry.
was it? Did they think it was like Milos 2.0?
It might have been. It might have been. And the weird thing was, it was a completely inconsequential character. So I mean, it was necessary for the plot, but just a little appearance by the character. So I thought that the Veep production staff, when you're shooting a TV show, the cast is on the set, but over just on the other side of this fake wall is what they call Video Village. And they have the monitor set up and the director's there, the script supervisor. And on Veep, maybe 8 writers and producers are all huddled around the screen over there. And Veep, as you know, was operating on extremely high standards. And there was something, I don't know what it was. Sometimes the magic works and sometimes it doesn't, but they were, I would do a take and then there would be about a minute of, and then the very nice director would walk in and said, Mark, could you try it again and just try to be a little more assertive, but not so strong? And it was all just, I was a little nervous to be on Veep too, because it was another one of those shows. Do you understand what an honor it is to be on Veep? And it just, I just tanked, which happens in the business, and that's okay. The magic didn't work, and Stephen Fry got a nice little plum.
Well, I mean, like you said, it happens. But where you didn't tank was Election, which is an incredible movie, and that came out pretty much after Seinfeld. It must have been pretty close in terms of, maybe I don't know. I guess my question is, did Seinfeld help get that role? Do you think, or was it not?
It might have helped me. It might have helped me meet Alexander Payne.
Yeah.
It might have helped get me on the short list.
Cut your hair though by then too. Completely different.
I did. Yes.
For that, yeah.
For that film, yes. To work with Alexander, and also like this new girl on the block. Her name is Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon. Oh, that's kind of a British name. Yeah, Reese Witherspoon. And I was talking with Alexander, and Alexander says, I think she might be breaking out pretty soon. I don't know. We'll see. I have good thoughts about this movie. And damned if she didn't. Wow. Yeah. I mean, she'd played a couple of leading roles as a teenager before that, but there was something crossover into adulthood with this movie, and that she was just shot out of a cannon after that. The Alexander hired me immediately. He hired me on the spot after my audition in the casting director's office. And then, even though we rehearsed a little after that, didn't talk to him all that much. And I never knew what was funny. I never had the slightest idea what was funny. So I just tried to play it straight. And it was the situation that became funny. And there was a time or two where I would try things. There was one place where I stood on a chair, and he said, "Don't stand on a chair. Just be plain. Just don't stand on the chair. Don't do anything fancy. Just be plain." And sometimes we would have another take, and he would encourage me to do less and do less, until finally, as sometimes happened to me in the theater, a wave of laughter would come, and backstage I would have to turn to my co-star and said, "What was funny? What happened that was funny? Did you do something or did I?" And then I got some jobs after Election where the directors say, "Well, we hired you on the basis of your character in Election, so we would just like, do more of that same stuff." And I just couldn't bring myself to tell, I don't know what I did. I don't know what to do here. I don't know. It's a mystery. Sometimes comedy is purely situational, which is, they call it situation comedy, but you see situation comedy, sitcom actors really hamming it up. But the best ones are like they're playing for dramatic stakes. The tears are real, the pain is real, and that's when it works the best. But yeah, Election was a dream.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, right off the heels of Seinfeld and another game for Milos. I mean, that's there's things that just kind of forever stapled in people's mind, and I think
Yes, yes.
you're,
I still hear that in the aisles of the grocery store.
I was
Even
going to
un-
say, yeah, I'm sure people come up
even
and
under even hiding under this beard, people still, they seem to. There's some sort of vibe. There's some sort of Eastern European vibe.
yeah. So you mentioned Jerry kind of having his stamp on everything, and obviously, you sounds like you were a historian of the show, so you knew Larry David's presence. So I just when you got to the set, what did people tell you? Who befriended you? Like, did you kind of get a feel of what it used to be, what it is now? I mean, this was season 8.
I no. I mean not know what it used to be. It was very much even after 7.5 seasons, it was an active project that people were sincerely working on, and people had other jobs that they were doing on the side, but I felt that it was, as I said before, these were ex theater people who knew how to show up. They knew their lines, they were on time, they worked hard. I was welcomed by everyone, and not treated as a day player, as a guest star that comes in to take up everybody's time, because you do face that from time to time, guest starring. And most of my career has been guest starring and I'm really good at it. But I am prepared to operate on my own with no direction, no help, no friendship from anybody. And Seinfeld was like walking into a club that I was a new member of right from the beginning. And Jerry was very generous with his time. And I know that he was busy because he was in the casting sessions. He was running the casting sessions, and he doesn't have to do that. His producers know, they know what he likes. They know what the show needs, but he was hands-on throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, we've heard that, and that's a testament to him, and actually making sure that he picks the right people. And obviously, he saw something in you and the accent and everything else. We talked to the writers of the show, Kevin and Robin, and I was curious when Chris just brought up the another game for Milos part. You have that kind of back and forth with him. You call him like sissy boy, look at the little girl, all that kind of stuff. But was any of that like improvised at all? Like, did they give you any help there to just kind of go with it and just start yelling stuff out at Jerry? Or?
Yes. I think it was. I think that part was another game for Milos. I know that was in the script,
right?
And there was no way to screw that line up. All I had to do was my Boris Becker imitation. Isn't that the Boris Becker celebration? Little stuttering feet and head up to the clouds. Yes, but all the taunting, I think, was just we tried out a bunch of things. I don't remember now what they were, but anything to make Jerry sit there and roll his eyes. Oops, I missed another one. Another game for you, Milos.
Good old Milos.
Very much fun. Good old Milos. Yeah.
So, Mark, what are you up to these days? Where can we find you? Any new projects or getting back into plays? Tell us a little bit about where we can find good old
plays.
Mark.
Plays are really hard. Plays are really hard. A year ago, I grew this beard to do a Los Angeles local production of King Lear, in which I did not play King Lear, but it was a problematic production, but I really enjoy working on Shakespeare because theater is my background, and I just appreciate the challenge of it. But then in the last year, I've worked a couple of jobs, both of whom both jobs of which asked me to keep my beard. And I just finished working on a project with Jake Gyllenhaal, another filmic stab at the Scott Turow novel, his debut novel, Presumed Innocent. And I play a serial killer that is suspected of the crime that Jake Gyllenhaal is investigating in Presumed Innocent. And it was quite a nice project, and we wrapped about a week ago, and I've kept the beard so far. That's
going to be on Apple TV.
Apple TV, yeah. It wrapped first week of June, so I may be looking at fall, maybe September, late August, or something like that. But it's an 8-episode making of the whole novel. There was a movie of Presumed Innocent with Harrison Ford,
right.
and I think that there was another TV series stab at it using the same characters. I'm not sure about that, but this is it's got a pretty good cast.
Yeah, it's David Kelly too.
Right. Yeah, and Ruth Negga, and just a bunch of really top-notch people, and all of my scenes were with Jake, and it was he's got a magnetic gaze, as I think that's what he's known for, his magnetic gaze and his eyebrows, and it ain't no lie, it's really there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serial killer, a little different than Milos, but must have been a lot of fun.
Since I grew this beard, and my character is skewing a little toward the seamy side. So in Presumed Innocent, I play a nail biting serial killer. Yeah, can't quite catch your eyes. It was fun. It was fun to work on.
Alice, for those of you on audio, Mark grew a little beard, but for the most part, he still looks like Milos. So he's looking
thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
No, you look great. You sound great, and as James Burrows said, you're really lucky to be here. Well, we're really lucky to have you.
I know, as everybody tells me in every situation, and yes. And Mark, as I told my wife recently, I am honored to be here. I'm aware of
that. Well said, Mark. Thanks so much.
Thank you, nice talking to you guys.
What can we say? Fantastic with Milos, and you've had a great career. Keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Mark. This was great.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.